Well, welcome to episode 8 of Grumpy Old Vet. It's been a little bit. I've had a lot of people asking when's the next episode going to come out. Well, I've been pretty busy, had a lot of things going on. Um, Interesting thing, if you've been keeping up with the Grumpy Old Vet, on episode 5 and episode 6, I talked about the problems with the Hillsdale Justice Project, Liberty Hall, being targeted by the city. And we thought that we were all past that. I got with my councilman, Joshua Palladino, and he helped uh, research the law and helped us uh, through the tax exempt status, filling out the paperwork to get that done. Sadly and oddly, the paperwork that we filled out that gained us the tax exempt status was exactly the same paperwork I filled out in 2019 with exactly the same thing on the paperwork. So I don't know why it changed all of a sudden. Maybe it's because I paid them almost $7,000 in taxes that I didn't owe. But we split our building and we sold that. And I told them that I wanted to take care of all the taxes that need to be paid, everything be taken care of. Had a realtor involved. They went to him and said, we want to make sure that we get all the taxes paid, everything that was done. When I was selling the building, I thought it was odd. I went to Stephanie Kaiser's office, treasurer's office, and I asked them. I said, what taxes are owed?" Even though I didn't feel that we owed them, but I went to him. I said, "I want to know what taxes are owed." And the one lady there, she printed me out a piece of paper and handed it to me, and I started to look at it, and it said like $1,200 or $1,800. I can't remember exactly now because I just briefly looked at it. And one of the other ladies in the office said, "Oh, you're not supposed to give that to him." So she took that paper back. And I thought, well, it's pretty odd. It's my taxes. Why am I not allowed to see it? Um, but they acted like it was like they handed me uh, it's a top secret document. They acted like it was more top secret than the documents that were in Joe Biden's garage. So they had to take that back right away. So we paid everything. We thought we had everything paid, and I go down to the post office here at the beginning of the week, and I get this personal property tax. They're saying I owe them $4,687.86 in personal property tax. Now, this was one of the things when we split the building and we paid everything up, we wanted to pay everything up, but they held us back. Just more harassment. I don't understand. We've been good neighbors. We haven't done anything to anybody. We keep to ourselves. We don't block any parking during times of business for the business people there because we hold all of our classes at night on a Tuesday night. So it's not like on a Monday night where they need the parking for city council, people going to city council. We do it on a Tuesday night. But this is just more in a long standing harassment from the city. Um, and if I was to add up all that I've had to pay, that was just because of my last name, it's unbelievable. Um, Starting out, uh, we were turned into the IRS for a complaint. Went through an audit in February of 2020. Passed that with flying colors. It was a person that was sitting on the tax board that turned us in to the IRS and made us go through the audit. Not a big deal. It was just an audit, and we knew we were going to pass. It wasn't a big deal. Um, so at that point in time, I could get over that. Then, of course, having Don Hernandez on the tax board when he'd said so many vile things about the Hillsdale Justice Project and myself on Facebook, on social media, we knew that we weren't going to get a fair hearing. And so we brought that up. And we were told that, of course, we were promised that, he was an alternate, probably wouldn't hear our case. And even if he was on the case, or they would make sure that he recused himself. Of course, that was never done. So it's cost me thousands in taxes. It's cost me thousands in legal fees. It's cost me just a lot of hassle. Um, and so then, of course, we had our window broke out, went through that whole fiasco, got charged a ticket. They were charging me for not having 75% glazing on the front of my building. I proved that I had more than 75%. And then as soon as I proved that, Tom Thompson, the city attorney, had all of my proofs thrown out of court. Of course, that was 22 inspections that I had done as proof that I was being targeted and that that I wasn't any different than 22 other businesses, two of them county buildings and two of them city buildings. And what happened was Megan Stuyvesant then allowed them to change their argument in the middle of court because they knew they couldn't win the 75%. So instead of charging me under 36.177.002, I believe it was, don't quote me on that. I'll get it. I'll look at. I'm in the middle of filing a federal suit, so that's all in there. They Megan Stuyvesant then allowed them to change to 34.1. Well, that's not what I was being charged with, but she allowed Tom Thompson to change his argument midstream because they knew they couldn't win with what I had put in, and that's why he had all my proofs thrown out. Then what I believe Tom Thompson did was he took my proofs that I had in a lawsuit that he had thrown out that were no longer part of the public purview, and he handed them to Mr. Beaker at the Code Enforcement Office. And he had Mr. Beaker go after those businesses under the guise that I had made a complaint. I hadn't made a complaint on those businesses. I didn't want other businesses to suffer like we were suffering. I only used those as proofs in a lawsuit that I was no different than 22 other buildings. Well, that was really illegal for Mr. Thompson to hand the proofs in a lawsuit over to the code enforcement of the city and then ask them to go after those businesses using my name to try to destroy my character in town with other businesses and other business owners, because that simply wasn't true. I was not making complaints on them. I figure, you leave me alone, I leave you alone. I'll live my life, you live yours, and we're all good. I don't have a problem with that. So when that happened, I was informed by someone from the city that, hey, they just went after the annex building for the inspection that you turned in on it. And so I went to county maintenance and I got a copy of the code ordinance and the code enforcement that was sent to them that said that their building was out of compliance and what it was out of compliance for. Oddly, exactly what I had said. Same pictures that I took from the sidewalk. So I had a copy of that. So I filed a FOIA with Alan Beaker's office that actually went to Dave Mackey's office. They held it for more than their 5 days and even over the 10-day extension that they didn't do. Of course, I didn't hassle them on that. I just simply called and said, hey, am I going to get an answer to this or not? So Dave Mackey denied my FOIA request because he said what I was asking for didn't exist. What I was asking for was the copy of my complaint complaining about those 22 buildings. Well, he was correct on that. That didn't exist because I didn't make any complaint and I knew there wouldn't be one. The other thing I asked for on that FOIA was if any of the buildings on that were part of that 22 inspections that I did were found guilty of any code violations, that I wanted a copy of whatever ones that were the same as my um, inspections and a copy of whatever they sent to the owners of those buildings so that I would know what they were saying. Because I pretty much knew they were going to try to sully my name and try to make people against me, that I had somehow complained about their building. So that's why I was asking for. Well, Dave Mackey denied my FOIA. And his reason was because what I was asking for, none of it existed. Well, that was simply impossible because what didn't exist, I was in physical uh, control of. I had a copy of the code violations on 49 North Howell. Well, that's the annex building. Well, that's one of the ones that I did. So they're saying it didn't exist. But how did it not exist when I had a copy of it? So being charged with all these taxes and doing all this stuff and being targeted, even Rob Soha, who was an absolute useless council member that I went to for help, along with Ray Briner. But Rob Soha even agreed that it looked like I was being targeted. Of course, when I brought that up and I put that in the lawsuit that he even said that, then of course he called me a charlatan and backed away. So I wonder who's the charlatan. Anyway, I filed a lawsuit on them because they said something didn't exist that did. That lawsuit went before Judge Lisney, and Judge Lisney was supposed to hear that case. And they set the hearing for the day that my lawyer was going to be gone. And so we filed a motion to adjourn, and we've got the receipt to prove that we filed a motion to adjourn. But then on Thursday, before Friday, when the trial was supposed to be on Friday, the hearing was supposed to be on Friday. On Thursday, we saw that it was still on the court docket. So we called up the court and said, "Hey, this isn't supposed to be on the court docket. We filed an adjournment." And they said, "No, you didn't. We don't have the paperwork." We said, "Yeah, we did. We did file an adjournment. Here's the receipt. We've got a receipt to prove that we filed an adjournment." "Nope, we're going to find that you didn't." So they went and talked to Judge Lisney, and she said, "Nope, they didn't." Well, yeah, we did. We've got a copy of the adjournment, and we've got the receipt. So what happened to my paperwork? Well, I don't know. It's a little odd that Marnie Cast and Abe Dane, who were working in that office, and my paperwork comes up missing. And those two that are working in that office are suing me. Hmm. Yeah, no proof, but a lot of circumstances there, right? You draw your own conclusion. So they held the hearing on Friday. And of course, because my lawyer wasn't there, they found me in default. So they threw the case out. So Dave Mackey walks free for lying, and they just get to harass me more. I don't have any relief of the court. So okay, whatever, live and learn, live and let live, let it go. So 3 weeks later, I get sued by Tom Thompson, the city attorney, and he sues me without council approval. He sues me for frivolous lawsuit and wants to sanction me. Okay, so it goes before Judge Lisney. So in the argument, Tom Thompson's first argument was that Mr. Rutan didn't file a FOIA. Then my lawyer said, "Well, yes, he did. It's in one of the exhibits there." And he claimed the exhibit. He said, "There's the FOIA right there." Mr. Thompson said, "Well, he didn't file it with Dave Mackey, who's the FOIA coordinator, so he didn't file a FOIA." My lawyer said, "Well, but Dave Mackey, the FOIA coordinator, is the one that actually denied it and sent the letter. So obviously, Tom Mackey had gotten the FOIA at some point in time. Sarah says, well, I'm going to find that Mr. Rutan didn't file the FOIA. Well, I'm sorry, but the FOIA law says that I'm supposed to file my FOIA with the office that's most likely to have the paperwork that I'm asking for. That wouldn't have been in Dave Mackey's office. That would have been in Alan Beaker's office. Now, the other thing is there's a policy in the city that any city employee that receives a FOIA is supposed to take it to the FOIA coordinator. So I can file my FOIA with any city employee. So why did Mr. Thompson sue me without council approval? Don't know. Don't know. I usually, when I have employees that go rogue, I bring them in the office and I cool their jets a little bit. If they go too rogue, I cool their jets with a pink slip. So I don't put up with too much of that. But so in the trial, Sarah Lisney finds that I didn't file a FOIA. So as we started to argue a little bit more, Sarah Lisney says, "Well, you should have." Apologize there. I had a little bit of a coughing fit. The pollen in the air, doing the lawn, cutting the lawn. But Sarah says, well, these arguments should have happened in the first hearing, and Mr. Wisely, so you should have made those arguments then. Said, well, Your Honor, we filed for an adjournment, and no, Mr. Wisely, you did not. Mr. Rutan did not file for an adjournment. Said, well, if you look at exhibit such and such, you'll see the receipt right there that we did file the adjournment. We paid for the adjournment. We filed the adjournment. But you guys held the trial anyway, the hearing anyway. She said, no, Mr. Wisely, I'm going to find that Mr. Rutan didn't file an adjournment. So this should have happened in the first hearing. These arguments should have been had in the first hearing. Okay. See where this is going. There was just so many things wrong with that. Now, one of the things that Mr. Thompson was suing us for is he said my suit was so frivolous that my lawyer didn't even show up. Well, now you know why. Because we filed for an adjournment, didn't get it, our paperwork come up missing somehow in an office of two people who are suing me. Yeah, Lady Justice. She's supposed to have a blindfold on and a scales in her hand. I don't know that depicts our legal system anymore. That's what a justice system is supposed to be. Lady Justice is supposed to be blind with a scale, but do we have a justice system or do we have a legal system? You decide. I guess that's up for the people to decide, isn't it? So, because we are the true masters of the law. So, anyway, we've got all that going on. We split the building. We tell them we want to pay all the taxes, get everything paid. We think everything is. January, we sold the building. And now May, I received this letter that I owe $4,687. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Now we owe $4,668.90. Liberty Hall. It's open every Tuesday. Anybody can come, 7 o'clock. We have a TV. We have a microwave. We have a bun coffee maker. We had 31 chairs that I paid $2 a piece for. and had to go clear to Kalamazoo to get them. And then I've got a table in the back. That's all we've got. And they're claiming that's $20,000 worth. Well, that would explain it. I mean, if the government thinks that's worth $21,000, that tells you how they like to spend your tax money, right? I definitely didn't have $20,000 in that stuff. We're pretty frugal because we're a nonprofit. Nobody gets paid there to do anything. We help people. We teach the Constitution. We teach the Bill of Rights. We teach the Federalist Papers. We teach the 700 years of history that led up to our founding. We teach the 5 genealogical documents that our founders drew upon to draw the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. So we're really bad people, must be. But this is the continuous harassment that we go through. So I don't know what else to do. I've tried to appeal to their humanity. I've tried to be nice. I've um, frankly bent over backwards. I don't know what else to do. But see, the thing is, if you allow someone to keep abusing you, then you've got no one to blame but yourself for the abuse. So I've decided if they're going to continue to abuse us, I guess I'll make one more appeal to council. And then I guess I'm going to have to file a federal lawsuit for violation of my 14th Amendment right. Shouldn't I have equal protection of the law? I'm a recognized 501c3 from the federal government and from the state government. I filed the same tax exemption in 2019 that I just recently filed. Denied in 2019, approved now. I simply don't know what else to do. I know civics, I know how government's supposed to work. I know the law, I know how the legal system is supposed to work. It hasn't worked in Hillsdale. Governmental system hasn't worked in Hillsdale, and neither has the legal system. So I guess maybe it's time to take it out of Hillsdale and take it to a federal court. See what a federal court judge says. You know, incidentally, with Sarah Lisney, after I filed that adjournment and it come up missing, I started recording every time I went into the clerk's office to file any paperwork. And lo and behold, I videotape, and I get a call from Brian O'Haron, Sarah Lisney's bailiff, and he threatens me. Well, he doesn't. Sarah threatens me through him for recording in the clerk's office. I put that on my YouTube channel, and she said if I didn't take that down, she was in 5 days she was going to bring criminal indictment on me. Well, see, there's some things that go back in time with Sarah Lisney and I as well. She wasn't that good of a lawyer. She cost me about $5,000 back in 2003 when she didn't file something she was supposed to file. I didn't get angry at her. I didn't make any complaints. I just paid the $5,000. $5,000 I didn't have at the time. So then when I started the Hillsdale Justice Project, she accused me of operating as a lawyer without a license, which was completely a lie. She threatened me about 6 times. She was angry that I filed the writ of habeas corpus that got Andy Feather released from jail, an innocent man that shouldn't have been in jail. But somehow I was the bad guy for helping him file a writ of habeas corpus. I've helped other people too when they've been stuck in this justice system that's not a justice system, that's a legal system, more based on your last name and who your political connections are than the law or what's moral. So I'll be putting all this together and filing a Judicial Tenure Commission complaint this next week, giving them all the proofs of what's been going on. It's that time of year the flies are out. So I'll be doing a judicial tenure complaint on Sarah and start putting all the proofs out. See, she threatened me under Michigan Court Rule 8.115C. And the Michigan Supreme Court in January of 2021 relaxed those standards for a very specific reason. Well, Sarah's tightening those restrictions for a very specific reason. Wonder why? If we can't trust the paperwork we're turning in, but she doesn't want us to record to have proof that we're turning it in, what's going on? See, FOIA's being denied. There's no transparency in government. They don't want transparency. But we, the people, are supposed to be the government. But if they're not going to give transparency to government, how do we know what's being done with our money that we're forced to pay? How do we know what's happening? We don't. Then we have to depend on what they say is happening. Well, I don't like somebody to tell me what's happening. I like to look and see for myself to see what's happening. So there's some problems there. There's also just a recent ruling from Judge Olsaver, which is kind of interesting. In February, he said it would best serve the people if MIGOP and the credentialing committee decided who the precinct delegates should be to go to convention, and denied Dewey Cheatham and Howe's Dewey Cheatham and Howe. That's what I refer to the law firm of the anti-Trump party that's suing the America First Party. Kind of interesting. Dewey Cheatham and Howe's lawyer was put on the bench by Granholm, a Democrat. Judge Olsaver was placed on the bench by Whitmer, a Democrat. He, in February, said it should be up to the MIGOP. Then he made a ruling and said, "Oh well, no. I'm gonna fine for all the elected officials, the anti-Trumpers." I wonder why. But here's the interesting thing. This is very interesting. His ruling came out on April 28th. It's a Friday. That's when it was filed in Marnie's office. So Marnie would known about it right away. However, Thursday, the 27th, the anti-Trump party had their sad little rally with 18 people, 19, 20 people in attendance. Some of our people went there. Brent was bragging how earlier, so either Tuesday or Wednesday, earlier that week, he had changed the report with the state, making Abe Dane the treasurer, which was in the ruling in Judge Olsaver's ruling in Friday. But how did Brent know about it on Wednesday or Tuesday to do that? And he was cocky about it on Thursday. but the ruling didn't come out until Friday. That seems to me then that there was an ex parte communication between Judge Olsaver and Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. John Lauterbach. If I'm not mistaken, that's strictly prohibited by the Michigan court rules, by procedure, by morals, by ethics, and by the judicial canon. So if they had ex parte communication, see, ex parte means without the other party, because there's two parties involved here. Whatever communication he has with one party, he has to have with the other party. Can't be one party gets to talk to the judge, one party doesn't. But in this case, it seems like that happened. So I'll be filing a complaint with the Judicial Tenure Commission on that issue as well, because if they had ex parte communication then, how many other times have they had ex parte communication? Isn't that interesting? Another interesting thing that happened was we've been informed by MIGOP that they don't really care about the judge's decision. They've already decided who the party in Hillsdale is. They've already decided what party they're going to support, and it's the America First Party, not the anti-Trump party. So their ruling really means nothing, only to them. It just really gets me how hypocritical they've been through the whole process. First, a letter from MIGOP means something, then it doesn't mean something. Then it does mean something, but then they depend on a lawsuit and the judge's decision. So we'll see what they think now when the chair of MIGOP recognizes the America First Party and not the anti-Trump party. Because if you remember, when Ron Weiser said that they were the party by a letter, then that was gospel. That was everything. Let's see if it means the same to him now. So, as always, this has been the Grumpy Old Vet, episode 8. Live with liberty, live with love, laugh, enjoy life. But remember, liberty's not safe. But servitude is. Have a good night.